You're most welcome to SkillBridge Institute. We are still on project management, and right now we're going to discuss about resource planning and allocation. The first thing that we need to understand is that what is resource planning? So this is where you are trying to identify all resources needed for a particular project. So these resources can be human resource, physical resource, as well as financial resource. Let's talk about importance of resource planning. Why is it important for you to plan properly for the resources that you have for your project? The first one, you need to understand that it prevents delays. So once you plan properly for your resource, you are able to allocate time for which you're going to use those particular resource. So by the end of the day, there will be no delays. Another one, it will prevent cost overruns. By the end of the day, once you plan properly for your resource, you are able to also work within your budget. You cannot work beyond your budget. Another one, it prevents poor quality deliverables. Once you're able to plan properly for your resources, by the end of the day, you're going to come up with a project that is of higher or of superior quality. Let's talk about key resources. Number one, human resource. So the people, that is the best number one resource. So the people, they have skills, they are given roles, and they are available for them to complete the tasks for a particular project. Let's go to another resource, that is the physical resource. So on this one, we are talking of things like equipment, materials, as well as the infrastructure for a particular project. Then we have got financial resources. So that is, we are talking of the budget for the project. Let's go to steps in resource planning. What are the steps when we are planning for resources for a project? Number one, you need to identify resources. So you need to list all the human, physical, as well as the financial resources or the financial needs which are available for your project. From there, you need to estimate needs. So on estimating needs, you are determining the quantity and duration for each resource. So on that one, you are trying to see that what will be the quantity of the resources that will be needed for this particular task and at what time. So that is what we are trying to do on this one. From there, you create a RBS, that is resource breakdown structure. So on this one, you are trying to categorize now the resources. So that is creating a resource breakdown structure. From there, you are trying to understand you assess availability of the resources to say that are these resources which are needed for our project, are they found internally or are they found externally? So you need to understand on this one. Do I have them at the moment, or do I need them to source this particular resource from somewhere else? So you need to understand that particular crucial area. Then from there, you need to plan for risks. So on this one, you're trying to prepare for alternatives to say if this resource will not, if this particular resource will not be available, what am I going to do? So that is what you are going to do right there. For example, we are doing a construction project. We need to understand that resources on that one which are required, you need things like architects, designers for the project. Then you need laborers, those people who will be doing the actual work on the ground. From there, you need raw materials. And you need machinery as well. Let's talk about resource allocation. What is resource allocation? So we need to understand that resource allocation is different from resource planning. So in resource allocation, you are now trying to assign resources to tasks for maximum efficiency. So you say this particular task needs these resources. That is resource allocation. Right, we can give an example. You are doing construction. Then you say building a wall. The resources which will be required for it is bricks. So you are saying this particular task of building the wall, the resources for it are bricks. So that is resource allocation. Let's go to steps. Step number 1, you need to prioritize task. So on that one, you are going to focus on critical path activities. So the critical path activities, those, when you create your network diagram, the critical path activities are the ones that you're going to focus on. So you need to prioritize those ones, because those ones, they determine the minimum amount of time that you're going to take for you to complete your project. From there, you need to match skills. So you need to make sure that skills or things or tasks are given to people with those particular expertise. So that is what you need to understand. So whenever you are doing a project, make sure that you are giving that the task for that particular project should be done by specific people who are trained for that particular task. So that is what you need to understand. For example, you are doing construction, you are constructing a building. That means whenever you are building, you are doing that particular, let's say you want a design, go to an architecture. An architecture will give you the design. For somebody to construct on the ground, you need somebody who did bricklaying. Bricklayer is going to do that particular task. You cannot take a nurse to do the construction part. A nurse who is just who just know things concerning nursing. So make sure that each particular person is assigned to a task on which he or she is trained on. Balance workload. So on this one, you are trying you need to avoid overloading resources. So you should not put a lot of resources on one area. Make sure that all the critical areas, there are resources assigned in all those areas. So there should be that balance. From there, you need to use tools. So you can use management tools like Asana, Trello, as well as Microsoft. So all those can be used on that one. From there, you need to monitor and reallocate. So on that one, you are trying now to check, have I placed all the resources in their best designated areas? And if not, then you try now to reallocate the resources. So you are now trying to check. You are now trying to check using those particular tools like the Asana, the Trello. So from once you check on that one, you can be able now to reallocate the resources. So we are having an example there. So for example, you are having our friends had this particular project. So in this particular project, you can see that there is a task here that is contracts. Another task is design. Another task was procurement. Another task was construction. So on contracts, you can see that there are issues to do with proposal, documents, date of bid. So all those things were available right there. And the contracts, on contracts, these particular contracts were supposed to be done on this particular date, that is on 23 in the month of 5, that is 2024. The maximum amount of time for contracts, that is 10.5 hours, and the budget or the resource assigned to it, that is $945, and the person assigned, it is Mike Smith. So that is now that is resource allocation. So you can see on this one, you can see there is an issue to do with time. There is even an issue to do with the budget itself. There is an issue to do with the responsible person. On design, you can also see the same things. There are dates here, there is time here, there is a budget here, there is a responsible person here. On procurement, there is time, there is total amount of time, then there is a budget for it, there is a responsible person. So that whenever you're doing resource planning for your project, that is how you are supposed to do it. Let's talk about best practices in resource planning and allocation. Number one, involve all the stakeholders. So everybody should be involved when you are trying to allocate the resources. Right. Another one, it is task utilization. So on that one, you need to monitor efficiency and adjust the allocations. So on that one, you are trying to monitor as you are doing your project. You monitor how those particular resources are being used, and at the same time, you are adjusting if need is there. Plan flexibility. So on this one, you need to add buffer for unexpected changes. So you need to add some on your budget. You need to add a certain contingency, that is buffer, so that in case you are going to run out of resources, that amount is going to help you, or those resources are going to help you as a backup. Clear communication. So everybody should be able to understand what is happening, or the roles that are assigned to, they should understand them. You need to use technology. So you should use softwares for you to be able to manage your resources. Let's talk about challenges as well as solutions. So challenge number one, it is limited resource and conflict of priorities. Another challenge, it is underutilization and unforeseen changes. So on that one, on underutilization, that means resources, they are not being used to their maximum capacity, and at the same time there are unforeseeable changes. That means there are some changes which are coming in which you didn't expect them to come. What are the solutions to that one? So unlimited resources and conflicting priorities, on that one you can cross-train team members. So on that one you need to make sure that a certain person can be trained maybe for 2 or 3 tasks. So he can do this particular task, the same person can also do another task, the same person can do another task. So that means on that one, you're not going to have limited resources, for example, human resource. From there, you need to outsource tasks if needed. So let's say there's some task which your team members can't do it. You need to find them somewhere else. Another one, it is use real-time tracking tools for adaptability. So on that one, you need to use those particular tracking tools. Okay, from there, let's talk about an example, a scenario example. On that one, you are managing an event. So on that one, you're talking of resource planning, that is identifying venue, catering, you need to find staff, then you need to estimate the cost as well as the availability. Then you need to, on resource allocation, you are trying now to assign tasks, for example, booking, hiring, as well as managing. Then you can use tasks, for example, Asana, to manage